What is up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming back at you tonight to continue our lake breakdown of Clarks Hill Lake out in South Carolina. We have done a ton of videos on this thing. We've actually gone through all of the satellite imagery and went through that and showed you where all the hard spots and the rock were and the fish attractors and all that good stuff. And now we're coming back to talk about the offshore hotspots. That's going to be all the spots that we pick for you based on contour lines, right? Just nothing based on satellite, all purely based on the contours of the lakes. That's what we're gonna go through tonight. We've already gone through this section over here to the left, Highway 47, all the way down through here. We've already covered all of that on the last video. So if you want to check those out, just go look at the lake breakdown playlist and you'll see them out there. So tonight we're gonna start on Highway 47 and we're gonna go up to where it is the Modoc boat ramp. So that's gonna be kind of the area that we're focused on. I'm thinking for this video, since we only get about 30 minutes a shot, we'll see if we can make it all the way down here. So we'll start at the bridge and we'll work our way all the way down to here. That should cover us for this first video, and then the next video we'll start here and work our way all the way back up. But let's see how far we can get. Maybe we can get a little bit further tonight. Maybe we can't. We'll just have to roll with it and see what we can get. So before we get started, just a friendly reminder, you can always go out and get all of these waypoints, plus the Google Earth waypoints we've talked about. You can get all of it on an SD card or in the digital format so you can put it onto your graphs. So go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. And if you don't want to put it just on your graphs, good news, we just came out with the Simplistic Fishing mobile app. You can go out, try it. It's a 3-day free trial. You can go out and try it, see if you like it. You can favorite your waypoints, save new waypoints, create new waypoints, all kinds of good stuff. Filter all these waypoints so fish just what you want, pattern fish, all that good stuff. It's out on the App Store. It's out on Google Play, so go check it out. All right, I've said all of the stuff that I needed to say. It's time to jump into this thing and see what we can find. So let's start up here at Highway 47, like I said. And we're just going to talk about why I selected some of these areas. So obviously this one has got a couple different things here, right? You've got this flat top with the nice breaks that are right here. You've also got a nice little flat top that's right here off this point with a roadbed that runs right through here. So kind of this whole area you might want to check out, depending on how deep they are, you might be out here, but if they're up shallow around this roadbed and around this flat top, could potentially be a pretty good area. Now, another spot that we've also picked right here is if you notice these little dotted lines, this is the creek bed, so it's swinging up against this point pretty close. So you definitely want to fish that point. Plus, you can tell on that point, it's got that flat top with those big breaks that you guys hear me talk about all the time. Let's zoom into this a little bit. We got two little humps out here you could check out. Then we've also got the edge of this point too. So you really got, some pretty good areas just right in here. What's that, 5, 6 different spots just right here in this little area with all kinds of good little creek beds and stuff like that running close to them or actually touching some of them in some cases. So again, we got this little point over here. This is a little long extended point. It's only about 14 foot on the top, so not bad at all. And then let's go out here. Couple things to check out here. One is going to be the foundations. Now I've marked the foundations for this lake. You can find it out, when you're looking at it from Google Earth or when you're looking on your graph, you'll see it. And you'll also see it on the app. But these little red spots are foundations. So we've marked all those foundations. Those are good offshore spots to check out as well. So just because we didn't mark it offshore, it doesn't mean it's technically an offshore spot. Some of those foundations can be up shallow, so they're not really offshore. And then some of them can be out pretty deep. But you'll want to check them out. When you see the foundations, especially if they're off of the side of a point or something like that, some piece of structure that looks good, then you definitely want to go check it out. So let's keep looking. Here we go. We got the point, right, and a roadbed. And that is two good things. If you can find one good thing, that's always good. But if you can find two good things, it's even better. And what if you could find three? So you got a roadbed, a foundation, and a point all right here. So it could be good. We've also got this little flat area out here. It's only 4 foot deep out here, way out here off the edge of the island. But then if you get out there far enough, you see those breaks. Same thing here. Comes out. It's only about 5 foot on top of this thing, but look at the breaks. You're basically going to go from, 5 foot right in here? What is this? Tell me. 4 foot to 17 foot. So pretty big break going on right there in that area. All right, let's keep moving on. Let's move this screen over a little bit. Let's talk about some of these other ones. And you're going to notice a lot of them look exactly the same, right? When you find those points that come off that are flat on top, and that have those breaks out towards the edges of them, those are usually very good points to try and find fish at. So you got a good one here, another good one here, another good one here. This one's a double one because you've got a roadbed that's coming right across here too. So the roadbed on the point That's usually really good. And this one's pretty cool. It comes way out, right? So if you're gonna scan in this area, yes, you can definitely scan where I put the waypoints at. You know, those are where some of the breaks are. That's the top of the hump. It's kind of the edge of the hump out here. There's another break that's over here. You can definitely check those, but remember, they can be anywhere in this thing. So on these big, long points that come out like this, you've really got to spend time going kind of back and forth until you figure out where all the bait is. And once you figure out where the bait's at, then your money, that's where the fish are going to be. All right, let's keep moving up. We're going to go up here, and if you're having a hard time following me, kind of show you where I'm at. We're right up in here in this area. So here's a little island out here, right? If you come off the top of the island, it's only, what, 7 to 10 foot probably off the top. And then you've got, again, another major break. You've got the same type thing out here. It's a little bit deeper, not too bad, but then really big breaks that are out there. Plus, the thing I like about this one, it's like the shallowest point before you start really getting into that river channel and getting into that really deep stuff. So I could see them pulling up here, feeding, stuff like that. Kind of this whole area right in here, but I would say, you know, if you're going to find them, more like it's going to be right around in here, maybe right around in here where these breaks are, over here where it has, you know, the top, and then you've got pretty good breaks there. But they can be anywhere. They can be right on top too. And if they're on top, you're in business. All right, let's keep going down, see what else we got. That point there, another good point here, some good breaks, little humps out here. This hump's even got the little community marker on it, so someone's already saying, hey, you need to go check out this spot. Now, in here, you've heard me talk about it a lot, but I love these spots where it gets really deep. So right here, you got a really big break. There's a couple good things that I like about this one. I'm gonna zoom in so I can show you. One is I like fishing right there on those ridges, right where it starts to turn. I feel like that's typically like a good place I can find fish. So I would for sure look in there. The other thing I like about this, I could see them just hanging out right here on this ledge and then coming up here on the flat to eat. So you'll really want to look right along where that ledge is as well, even over here. All right, let's move on down. Again, just looking at these long points with nice flat tops, right? We got a lot of them. We got one there, we got another one here. Here's one I didn't even mark. You could check out this one. So if this one's good, scoot over, you know, check it out. This one looks really good. This one's got a hump on the top of it with a really big break off to the right. I didn't mark this one, but you could have marked that one too. So there's just a lot of good points here. If you could get on a really good point run, I think you could really pattern some fish pretty quickly here. All right, so let's move down. On these points, they're a little bit different, right? The top is shallow, but it's not as flat as some of those other ones were. But if you look at this one right here, notice where it's really dark right there. That means you've got a really big break going on somewhere right there in that area. So you'll definitely want to look at that. This is a rounded point with a really good break right off the side of it. And then you've got this big old flat that's back here, right? Giant flat. Comes out 5 foot all the way out to here. And then all of a sudden the bottom falls out of it and you're down to 40 foot and you're in the middle of the creek channel. So right in here could be very, very good. And it's really hard to see, but there's a creek bed right here. If you follow my finger, this creek bed runs right here and it hits right here. And this is the deep pool. Looks like where it starts to make a turn. So there's a little creek channel turn right there. Guarantee you that's a good spot to look at. Probably the best spot actually that I've seen so far, as far as being a really high percentage area. You're probably going to find something there. All right, back here, another one of those flats to check out. So you'll definitely want to do that. And then let's move on up. Let's see what else we can find. So now we're over on this side of the little cove. We've got a nice little point here with some good breaks. Again, long extended point with some good breaks. And then right here is similar to what I was talking to you about earlier. This is a really big flat, right? It's pretty good flat right off the edge of this point. And then if you look right off the edge of it, you've got that break, right, where it just breaks completely off. So something to take a look at for sure. All right, moving on up. Let's look at this. We've got a nice little point coming right here. Nice, pretty shallow top, right? Nothing crazy, but pretty shallow. We've got another good hump that's out here too. And you know, again, if that hump thing's on, you know, usually they start going to the humps like later May, at least for here in Texas. They'll start going out to those humps in not really even late May. For us, it's a little bit warmer probably, but for us, they start doing it early May. But for you guys, it might be, you know, it could be early May, it might be mid-May, might be late May, but somewhere around the May timeframe, they'll start to pull off. And that's usually like one of the best times to catch them offshore because they're just now getting out there and they're in these big old groups of fish and they haven't been messed with too much, and you can go out there and have really good days offshore before it really starts getting super hot and things like that. Typically, when I have those kind of days, I'm fishing offshore humps. So keep that in mind as you're out there. Don't discount the humps. They can be really good places to fish. I had this little stretch here. I didn't really see too much going on here. Not to say there wasn't anything there from an offshore standpoint. I could probably go in there and say, hey, you might want to check a couple of these places out. But just, I didn't see anything that really stood out to me. But I guess since I'm talking about it, let's zoom in here. Let's just look at it really quick and see if there is anything that I missed. And you know, what I would say is that if I was forced to fish this spot, what I would do is I would first come up here, see where this little flat area is. I would fish right on the edge of that. So right where that break is. So I might set out here and fish that break. So cast up here and then cast down that break. Cast up here and cast down. So I try that. And then I guess if they, actually probably what I do is scan it, obviously, but if I couldn't scan it, I'd come out here and I'd start first to here, maybe this little flat. If that didn't work, maybe scoot up and then go to there. So that way I don't ruin the fish by setting on top of them. But I would check that out for sure. There's not really anything else in here that, that sticks out to me. Maybe like this little rounded point, but that's probably about the only spot right in there that I would fish. And it's not a high percentage spot, but you never know. It's probably a really good spot. I probably just gave away somebody's honey hole and didn't even know it. All right, let's keep moving. So we got a lot to cover, right? We've gone through that first cove, and now we're going through this one right here. My apologies. I don't know this lake that well, so I can't tell you the name of all these different coves, but hopefully you're keeping up with me. We're going to start right here at this point, I think. I think we just covered all that, didn't we? Yeah, we did. All right, let's keep moving up. We're going to start right here around this point. So, again, right, we've got really good points with really good drops, and we've got all these humps. There's a hump there, there's a hump here, and there's a long extended point down here. And then out here, again, there's an old roadbed that goes right through here, and it's coming right off the end of this point. There's another roadbed here too, so it doesn't make much sense. There's got one going this way, then it kind of disappears, and it's got another one going this way. So not sure what's going on there, but I would do some scanning around this point, see what types of cover and stuff you might have under the water from that old road that's there. Then if we swing on down into this cove, there's some pretty good stuff back in here, right? There's a secondary point back here that looks good. There's an old roadbed back here. There's a bridge that you could probably check out. Again, we've got all that stuff marked on the Google Earth side. And then you've got all these little points, right? Got a couple different points here you can check out. And this looks really good. The big breaks that are coming off of this, the fact it's got a creek channel that's kind of swinging up against it. There's some pretty good stuff here. There's a creek bed over here on this side too. So this thing's surrounded by creek beds. And that is typically a tall tale sign of you found yourself a pretty good looking point to try out. You've got some more stuff back in here, a couple culverts and stuff, but really, again, another good point with some really good breaks around it, something to check out. This one's got another one of those road beds that extends this way. It's a really, really light line, but it's there. I can see it, and it looks like it runs right into that hump. Got another one that's here, another hump here, and then you got these road beds again. You can see them right here. Here's the road bed. So if we go out to the middle of where that road bed takes us way out here to the middle of the lake, pretty much. But you can see we've got humps out here, 23 foot with a roadbed intersection on the top of it. You got another hump out here at 20 foot with that roadbed coming right to the side of it. And then this one I marked because basically it's the same type thing. It's a hump at about 22 foot, but it's really close to that drop off into that big river channel, right? So that could be a really good spot getting later on into the year, later into the summertime. All right, let's pull this one up. Let's keep moving down, see what else we can find. We got these little points here. Look at this one, it's got that nice little hook in there. Those are always good spots. Nice flat top with a big old break. Those are cool. We got a little creek bed coming through there. That one's probably a pretty good one. And then this one here too, these look really good. Look at the breaks that are coming off this thing. And what I mean by breaks, if you're new to kind of understanding contours and new to kind of figuring out the offshore stuff, I'm talking about when those lines get really, really close together. That means that you've got a really big, steep drop. Like you've got a major change in the depth. And then if you see the lines where they get way far apart, that's going to be your flatter areas. So you really want to try to find those flatter areas and then go off into where that break is, and they'll usually be on top of those flattened areas feeding. If they're not, they're gonna be off to the breaks, off to the sides of them. All right, let's keep moving on, see what else we got. We're gonna keep moving down here. I'm gonna zoom back, kind of show you where I'm at now. Hopefully I don't lose my spot, somewhere right in here. So we're making progress. There's that little spot. Now I'm getting all lost on where we just were. We're gonna start right here because I get lost when I zoom that back out. But here we go, another hump here with good breaks. Good little rounded point with a nice break there. This is pretty cool. It's like a flat at 24 foot, but then it breaks off into like 50 something foot of water or something crazy. But it's also got another flat top up here too that can be really, really good. And if you look really closely, that little dot right there, that's a foundation, and that blue line, that is a roadbed. So you got some pretty good stuff going on right around that point. All right, let's keep looking. We talked about that one. We talked about that one. Long extended point out here with some good breaks on the outside, and then some pretty good breaks right here on the inside that kind of gets shallow, almost looks like a little ridge there. That could be pretty good. Then we'll move down here, talk about a few of these. Long point, right? These are good fall spots when you get these long extended points. You've got this one here too with some good breaks. That one's got some good breaks. Let's see if there's anything else back in there. Didn't see anything else back in there. We'll move on up. Another one of those points. Hopefully you're starting to figure this out now if you're new to fishing. And then over here, big old flat, right? Big old flat coming off the top of this point. You're gonna want to just look around, but this is kind of where you're seeing the contours where the breaks are at more kind of on this side. So, but checking out the whole thing, definitely all up in here. You're gonna have to do some scanning. Hump here, another point there. Moving on over here, we've got more humps, right? There's a ton of humps. And then there's these points here. These points can be really good. And then here again, we've got a roadbed, like a half a roadbed. But we've also got a point here. And if you look really closely, that's 10 foot right there. And then you're dropping into like 60 foot down here. So big, huge break going on right in there. Imagine that's probably a pretty decent little point to check out. Plus you got a hump that's not too far from it, just on the other side. Another hump, and then another hump. So you got all kinds of, if the humps are on, you got some pretty good spots to take a look at here. All right, then if we're gonna move on down here and go a little bit further down, we've got, down here, we've got the house foundations, right? So another house foundation right off this point. Plus, if you look really closely, it's got some really, really, really good breaks to it as well, which make it seem, you know, it really stand out. Seems like it's gonna be a pretty good spot to go look. All right, I'm gonna come out here. We're gonna go around this island. There's lots to talk about around this island, and we'll just point out all the different stuff that we found around these islands that looked really good. So just kind of follow along with me. We've got a roadbed down here. We've got really good breaks right in here. Here's another roadbed that has a point kind of coming off the island. You got a hump out here. You got a roadbed out here. You got a saddle right here with two foundations. You got another longer point right here with a big break. You got a break that's coming off over here as well. You got points here, here, and then over here as well. A nice little rounded point with some really good breaks. So lots of juicy stuff. And then over here on the tail end too, you've got that and another foundation over here. So some pretty good stuff around these islands. You'll definitely want to go out there, check them out, see what you can find around them. And then a couple more places before we get out of here. We talked about that hump. This one was off the screen. You got another one out here. It's about 13 foot. Looks like it's got a rock pile right on top of it. The whole thing could be rock, but definitely got a rock pile on top of it. Someone marked it that way. All right, let's move over here. We're gonna come down here. Look at all those red squares. Those are house foundations. You wanna go look at those. Those can be really good spots, kind of secret spots. A lot of people forget that those house foundations can be really, really good spots to fish. While you're there, you can see you've got a couple humps to fish out here and some pretty good points to look at too. You've also got a lot of these blue lines going all over the place. So you got some roadbed action going on here if you want to check out the roadbeds. This roadbed goes right over the top of that point right where we marked it. So definitely some stuff to go and do some scanning around. Let's keep moving down, see what else we got. Nice break here, right? Flat come out at 5 foot, and then all of a sudden the bottom falls out of it. The point here is kind of the same thing, really flat on top, shallow on top, and then boom, a big break. Same thing here, nice little hump. Rounded point here with a good break. Secondary point here with, you know, back in the back with a decent little break back there too. We move on back and we get into some of these little back kind of coves, and you can see where we just marked. the different areas where really we're seeing some pretty good breaks around points and things like that. So right here, you've got a little rocky secondary point that breaks off right into the creek bed. Same thing right here, you got a little point, it's kind of hidden, but breaks off right in the creek bed. Right here, you've really probably got a creek channel swing. It probably hits here and then hits here. So that makes that a really productive point. And this one just looked good because it's got the nice breaks out here and it's a nice little secondary point, maybe for them to set up, stage on, stuff like that. We'll get way far back in here. We're gonna see the same type things. This one looks pretty cool. There's probably there is a creek channel running right through here. So you got a little creek channel swing going on right here in this area. And this point is right after it. And on top of that point, you've also got a nice road bed going through there. You've got a hump out here with a road bed. You got another hump here with breaks. You got a couple more humps further out there. So just some really good looking stuff. We get up in here, we've got a nice saddle with some really good breaks. The saddle is going to be basically the part between the two land masses. And it's usually like a ridge or something. You know, it comes up, it gets a little bit shallower, but they love to get on the sides of those and on the tops of those. You've also got a hump that's out here. Let's stay here on this side. This area here I like because you got this little pinch point right here. This is very deep water right here, but then it tapers off and gets pretty shallow. So right there, maybe right where it comes off, if they're kind of feeding through, you know, catching the bait, pushing them into these little channels, that could be a good spot for them to set up in. We got another another point back here with a road bed. All kinds of bridges and culverts back here. We've got a few little ledges that are back here that you can find, little drop-offs and points. Nice little rounded point there. I like this one. This is probably my favorite one back here just because you have all these road beds that are around it. Plus, if you look, it's got a really sharp break coming off there. So I like that one a lot. Another good one here, right? There's those sharp contours into that point. Talking about fishing more on the side. Right here is a hump. Top of that flat with a road bed. That one looks good too. Same thing, right? Point, big, nice drop right there. Plus you got a road bed. Another one, good one there. We keep moving back. We got a few things that are way back in here. Nothing too crazy, but a couple spots, right? You got a flat top with a drop. You got this little interesting thing going on here. Another good little point. This point here has got some kind of black dot. I don't know what that black dot is, but it's not really a point. I guess it's a point with a hump. So you got a hump that's there too. This one looks good. Nice little shallow, flat area, probably like a little spawning area. I can see them setting up there for pre and post spawn. Move it up here, same thing. Nice little point with some drops off of it. Same thing. This one's got a nice rounded point. Pretty sharp drops, but it's got that road bed there, and that's what makes it special. Same type thing here, just no road bed, but you got really sharp contours coming off the edge of that point. Then you've got some pretty good stuff out here, right? You got some points that come out and come up pretty shallow, so I guess almost like humps, but then if you look right at the edge of them, there's big old breaks that are out to the sides of them. All of those. Here, big flat point, kind of tapers off into the end. Another big flat point. Well, there's that one. We got a point here, but then we also got this rounded point back here with the good breaks. And then out here, this is that big flat area up in here. You can see, if I zoom in a little bit, there's some weird stuff going on here. There's actually a little hump out here. So this is 27 foot. This is 20 foot. This is 27 foot, and this one is like 20 foot as well. So there's some hidden humps out here amongst that flat. Then we're going to move on up, see what else we could find. There's more points. This little interesting little spot here, it's got that nice flat top and then it breaks off. Here's a road bed coming through here. And then here I'm just hitting those spots where it's shallow on top and then has a break, right? Shallow on top has a break, hump, 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 point. Some good stuff. Let's move on over here, see what else we find. We got these islands with some really good breaks off of them. Nice flat tops, a couple more humps that are out here as well. Pretty decent little point that's back in here. That one's got some really sharp breaks off to the edge of it as well. All right, let's move over. See what else we find out here. We got more humps. 3 of them right there. We got a nice extended point that's out here we could look at. Another area here where it drops off, has some really good drops. This almost looks like a big sinkhole or something out here. I'm not sure what that is, but it kind of wraps around it. So maybe just take a look. If anything, it might just be cool to look at it from a fish finder standpoint. Another good area here with some good breaks. This is a nice shallow area that comes off and has some pretty good deep water access. Then back here, really, you got a little culvert that's back here. Again, another good little secondary point. I can see them staging up there, or even maybe even back in here. All right, let's zoom back out, see where we are. We're making progress. We are right here by this island, and all we got to do is make it down to the dam. So I think we can do this. We can make it. We're 25 minutes in, so almost picked that perfectly. So let's keep going around this island, right? Got these flat tops of these breaks, just like what we've been looking at the whole time. Then we're going to move on down and look over here. Again, long extended points with breaks off of them. This is a short little point, but with some really good breaks. This is a long kind of flat area, but it's got some really good drops out here. And this is a nice little hump out here. It's kind of hidden out there. We get up around this little bitty island, and you're really just looking at all these different humps that are around it. Now, another thing you want to look at too is those road beds. So maybe looking like right in here where that road bed is, where you could look at that house foundation. Or if you come out here and you're fishing this hump, if that's not too deep, maybe pull off and see if that road bed's there. Or maybe this one because it's got the road bed close to it. So just keep those road beds in mind when you're out there fishing those things. All right, let's keep going. We got these points here. Again, another road bed coming through here. You can see it. But what I like is all the breaks that are around this. Plus you got those two foundations that are close by too. Let's move this on down. We got some shallow areas in here. Another good point here. Look at that giant flat. And that, if you wanted a definition of what a flat looks like, that is about as flat as you can get back in there. So where are they going to be? If they're not up on the flat, they're going to be out here staging up right before it. And these are going to be some good spots to take a look at. Got some foundations back in here. Another point here with a really good drop. And we get farther back in here, we're going to kind of see the same thing. Another good point with some good drops. Back here, we got a little secondary point. We got some craziness going on back in this. Got a submerged bridge back in there, and we actually have a little hump that's back here too. So it's 17 foot, and it breaks off to about 28 foot. And you got that submerged bridge that's there too, which could come in handy. Let's zoom in here to these. Good one here, right? 6 foot off to a break right by the creek channel. Another point here. You can call this a point. It's got a point with humps on top of it, so some pretty good stuff in there. Another long extended point here. And this one's really kind of too, you've almost got like an underwater island here, and this is a saddle between it. But you got a decent point here, and out here, this right here looks pretty juicy. We've got road beds up here. If you follow this, that's the road bed. It's coming out and it's hitting these flatter spots and these points. Here's a flat spot on the point, but has a really good break. There's a foundation, and then there's a hump out there too. Some good stuff. And that actually takes us to the end of this section. We're gonna go on our next video and hopefully work our way from the dam all the way back over to 47. I don't know if we can get it done or not, but we're gonna give it a whirl. So don't forget, go out, check out our website, simplisticfishing.com. We have all these waypoints available for you, either available for an SD card and we send you all the digital files, or you can just purchase the digital files, copy the files to an SD card, import them into your graph that way. And then of course, if you don't want to do any of that stuff, you don't want that on your graphs, you can always go download the Simplistic Fishing mobile app. We've got it out on the Google Play Store and the App Store. It's got a 3-day free trial, so go check it out. And until next time, guys, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.